So what was it about Knights of the Zodiac that attracted you to, make it into and direct a live action?
I think it's our story started like five years ago, and actually started on a different adaptation. We don't want to reveal the title, but we were working together on a different adaptation, and Yoshi liked the work so much and just asked, "What do you know about Senseiya?" And I was like, I remembered Senseiya from my childhood because it was played also in Poland in television, and I liked it, but I was not like an expert. And I said, "Sure, let's do it. Let's start working on it." And from this moment, I started to dig deeper and deeper and deeper, and then really started to discover the beauty and the depth of this IP. So in my case, this was gradual. It was like Yoshi was looking for somebody to help to help the studio to find the way to adapt this very, very big franchise, because it's a huge franchise comparable with Marvel. A lot of characters, a lot of storylines, a lot of stories for different films and different series, and we are having only one movie. So first it started almost like a technical challenge, and then I grew to love the story and characters, and now I cannot live without it.
One thing, when I first met Tomek, it's really his idea and instinct just blew me up. He wrote the small treatment, like 2 pages long, I think, first. And it was handed to me in a taxi cab, and then I was reading it. I'm like, who is this guy? Where is this idea coming from? So he's like, just not just a genius of the director, but his instinct is. And then also on the set, you'll see him, is more like a philosopher. So all the crews, loved him.
What's the heart of this IP? What makes this story and character special in your eyes?
I think maybe Yoshi should start first.
Yes. Well, that's a very good question, because that's something I wanted to carry in this adaptation of live actions, because what usually happens is we have a lot of live action features based on the Japanese anime or manga. But not all of them carry that part of their story or in manga, right? And what is it? It's hard to define. And if it's easy, I had to say no to the 21, draft of the scripts, and the final one, which Josh and Matt, created, got us like, yes, this is what I was looking for. So if I can, define in one word, then I guess all the other writers who did the marvelous job on, each draft, they must have gotten it. But I think it's something that, you get from reading it and, diving into it and then live with it, and then that comes with it. And I can tell you all the bits and parts of the elements, but I think that just comes with the,
with the heart, and also like every character in this huge IP has his own backstory. So it's very, very hard to say that what is one thing. But I can say what is one thing for Seiya, for main character of Knights of the Zodiac, and this is this like a very interesting internal conflict which he has, because his destiny is to become a protector of next incarnation of goddess Athena. But when he was younger, he failed to protect his own sister. So he carries this like initial sin, and he has to first kind of go back in time, kind of solve it for himself, forgive himself, to actually be this protector. Because you cannot carry this burden with you all your life. At some point you have to face this demon from your past, and you have to solve it. And for me it was such an interesting character motivation, such an interesting structure. And of course, because it's manga and anime, so we have this is the heart of the story, but we have also a lot of great action. So that's also important because you have to always remember that the beauty of anime and beauty of manga lies in this balance between heart and emotion and like real touching story, because we are touching story of loss, of love, of protection, but at the same time it's also explosive action. And in terms of Seiya, it's also quite violent action at moments. So it's a very nice balance, and I loved it. I loved every minute of working on it.
And that's actually one of the first things that when Tomek came on board, that he pointed out that that's the core thing. And then and I was that kind to me like struck me, because until then our team had been working on many other elements and what is the core. But when you go back to it, yes, that's the where Seiya's journey originally started. And then also for the creator of this manga, Mr. Masami Kurumada, his other comics also have the same theme. Growing up with a sister and then losing it. So it is something Mr. Kurumada wanted to convey in all his career. So once Tomek pointed out, I'm like, yeah, that is right. That's always in his theme. So yeah.
So this question is actually for Yoshi. So this adaptation has been in the works for 10 years, according to Matt and Josh. How did you and Tomek work together to gather the cast? So, for example, we have Madison, Diego, Sean Bean, and then Makenyu. So they're all making up this pretty big cast of characters, and they work together. And I think the focus is also Seiya's character growth. So how did you choose essentially the cast?
Yeah, it started with Makenyu, and for us it was really important. Like, who is Seiya? Like, can we find our Seiya? Once we found Seiya and Makenyu got on board, then everything else was quite easy. But then I think it was like a big journey for us. Then COVID hit, and of course complicated everything. Actually, in one case, it helped us because we actually reached the Madison agents in the very, very beginning. And at that time, she was busy, she couldn't take it, it was too complicated. And in this case, COVID helped us because a year later, we thought, okay, let's try again, because she was like a perfect fit for Siena, for Athena. And this time it worked. So, and the rest is history.
Yeah, you're right. Makenyu was the finding Seiya is the hardest thing, and then and also we wanted to have a diversity portrayed in this movie as well, especially because in manga and anime all the characters were trained in the different countries, and they have certain cultural background. And especially more so in the anime, I wanted to carry that into this live action. So we knew the cast will be very diverse. If we introduce all the epic into the film. So yes, finding the right person for Seiya, and first, ideally because Seiya is Japanese, we thought having Japanese nationality or Asian background, might be the best. But still, finding the right fit, was tough. But fortunately, we were, we could team up with the Makenyu and work out. And the rest, yes, Sean and Famka, were great. And then Madison case, yes, that was true. We pushed almost a year, so that actually COVID helped us. And Diego, yes, and also Nick Stahl and Mark Dacakis, we have to shift the schedule, but fortunately they were still keep the schedule, even though we had to push a year.
Thank you so much.
So you said like during that COVID kind of helped, but what was like the biggest struggle during the pandemic for adapting this?
I mean, it helped, but first it crushed us because we had everything lined up, everything was prepared, and then COVID hit. I was at that time on second season of Witcher. Everything was shifted, so suddenly I cannot finish in time. I cannot be on set in time. We started to like reshuffle everything. We started to juggle with schedules. It was a lot of nervous days. But once we started, but once we returned and we decided that we are pushing to the next year, and once we locked the dates for everybody, then I think it was not that hard because at that time all the lockdowns and all the rules started to go down. We had vaccines, already we had much safer work environment, and we had all the procedures which were tested on other sets. So once we started shooting, it was actually quite straightforward. So once we started shooting, it was not a problem anymore. But we had a lot of headache before.
The first round of the COVID, even your schedule, Tomek, one time did a match, and then what am I going to do? All the cast, they might fit in this time, but I think eventually it worked out because the COVID cases got increased, and then I think it was the right choice to extend it 6 more months, and then all the main crews and cast were together on the same.
It was a very weird year. Like, you remember? There was no Comic-Con, right?
And then also it was a challenge for any production team during this time. And we were, discussing with the insurance company, and what is the medical backup, and all that. So it was a tough time. We have, test, crews and cast, almost every day. So it was the extra.
Quickly, what lessons or takeaways did you have from Harlock Space Pirate that you've now applied to this production?
That was as toy animation, we basically makes animations, and then one thing I tried out in Harlock Space Parrot is we try to not use the anime distributors. Rather, we went with the sales agent, and then sold it through mainstream theater, network. And then we saw the opportunities, especially Italy and France, making a hit over there. So, and that kind of made us a proof that we can do this ourselves. And that's why, in terms of business, this project is 100% funded by toy animation, and then that's why we could give a lot of creative freedom to Tomek and all the film crews.
So I had a really quick question until Gary comes back for Director Tomek. So you're a big fan of the original series. They have really beautiful armor. There's a lot of visuals and sci-fi elements. How did you incorporate that for the movie? I know we haven't seen anything yet. We're going to the panel in an hour. But can you talk about the visuals?
And we are still not showing armors. It's a big secret. We are keeping it. But I think it's quite important to understand both animation and live action, and what are the strengths and weaknesses of both. And my background, because I 20 years ago, 25 years ago, this is wow.
I guess.
So 25 years ago, I started in animation. This was my background, so I really deeply understood what anime is. And actually, I was stealing some shots from famous anime projects to my projects sometimes, or maybe not stealing shots, but more
inspired by
technological solutions, because there is a lot of technology behind it. So I had deep understanding of animation, but I also, over the last 15 years, I was working mostly in live action, developing TV shows and projects and commercials. And it is very, very clear that you cannot copy one world to another. You have to understand like strengths of both worlds and try to transfer what is transferable and also like change what is not transferable and just use live action, which is always a little bit more grounded. So not every fantasy action will look good in live action because it's slightly more grounded and you don't want to get into like children movie territory where everything is possible. You want to give limits to your characters. So it's so for me it was quite easy actually because I understand both worlds, but we are seeing that we have to finish. I just used all the experience I had from the past.
That's excellent. We're so excited. Thank you so much.
Will the panel see your happy dance? Diego told us.
Oh yeah. When you get a good take, you do a happy
We'll
dance.
be sitting at the table, and happy dance needs
Oh, your full body.
needs my full body.
Tomek, Yoshi, thank you so much.
Yeah.
A lot of questions about the action since you're involved. Do we get to see a lot of hand-to-hand combat? What kind of action are we talking about?
What kind of action? Live action. What are you talking about? We work. I mean, like, the animation. This is the first time they turn into live action.
Right.
So we have a big challenge. It's kind of very interesting. We have the opportunity to do it for me. And then, thank you. Oh, coffee.
That's important.
I don't know this, but I had the opportunity to do that. And then it's a good thing. Yoshi, producer and Tomek, director, they have a very specific vision, what they're thinking. So for me, my job is helping them. At the same time, I'm trying to see how I can turn the animation to live action. And one thing, it's not just how you turn into it, because the content is like 35 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's where something had to be updated, and the animation, they have their own language. So I have to, considering how to put that together and have the, fresh, it doesn't look like a too old from before. It had to be, try to have a new idea, what new action is. So we had to find a bridge, to how we get there. But then the original content, is from Japan, and it's a very Asian theme. And then right now it's here called Knights of Zodiac, with more like try to be in the US side. So I think they've helped me here to working with this because I'm here so long, and look at my credit. So I think they know I'm from the east side, and they know I can do the west side. So I think we're blending into it. So my job is just make sure the action, it doesn't look too east, like too Asian, it doesn't look too Western. So that is the key, and that's the action you're gonna see. So it will be a wild world, but then it doesn't look like a crouching tiger. Then you get a punch fight, but doesn't look like an MMA fighting. So it's all different web style.
Excellent, thank you. I was more curious about kung fu, there's like martial arts, but I think you answered my question.
Yeah, it's a martial art. The content. Every character their own character. They have their own signature move. They have their own symbol. But they all based on the real martial arts. And then the like Shaolin Temple. The kung fu.
Yeah.
They also based on animal. So that is the same, similar in this. All the characters are based on something. Special like Saint Seiya, is based on the flying horse, right?
Yes.
So then we know he has his Pegasus medius fist. So that's how, for me, it's transferred the animation to a live action and makes sure the audience, after they're watching it, they can remember, this fist, this fist is like Chinese punch or boxing, or this is something you realize right away. It's like, if I do this, you know what it is, right? So that is the idea. And I hope the audience after that they can remember what is the medius fist and then what is the cosmo.
Thank you so much, Andy.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Did you watch other anime adaptations that are live action to try and
Yeah,
see?
I watch it. Of
Yeah,
course I
like
watch
different.
it.
No, I mean like ones that have already been added
Which
Sorry,
one
I'm
you talk
crazy.
about?
Like animes that have already been adapted into live action, like Dragon Ball Z, Death Note, and to see how they choreographed.
Which one? Which movie you talk about?
Like I know they adapted Dragon Ball Z.
Dragon Ball Z, okay.
Did you like
Or
find inspiration to see how they did their choreography? I know that movie's not that good.
I mean, I watching those, like
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z, or even you talk about Airbender, they all turn into from animation to.
Yeah.
I watching it, but it's a totally different thing. And then I mean, like I said, all the animation they have their own language.
Yeah.
They have the style how they want to do the action or something. So it's nothing I need to really learn from that because they're different, and especially this content is way older than other ones. So that is the different thing I have to see how to adapt into the modern day. And the audience looking the animation from 35 years ago or 10 years ago now is so different. So that is the comparison for me. It's more I need to know the animation changing. It's not live action thing because I have to adapt onto this based on this content.
Yeah.
So Dragon Ball Z and other one is different things. I don't need to adapt on that. So it doesn't help me to watch. But I'm watching it.
Yeah.
That's my background. I do all action. I have to know everything, kind of. So
Anyway, thank you.
thank you.
Can you talk about the training and preparation process, especially for the younger actors like Madison and Diego?
Oh, you do too? It's amazing. I don't know I can talk too much about their action, but they do their own thing. They're really good. Madison's amazing. She loves to do action. So she will next action hero. She want to do action and Diego, another good, when he comes, it's very stiff, but then he is after the whole movie I shooting, at the end of production, he is the one that most impressed me because he totally changed from beginning. He's like he don't even know how to punch, but then end up is like really good. So I think these two talents it could be amazing in the future. Just keep working on it. I think they will be good, and give them some time to train and in the proper way. So they have it because they have the heart. They want to do it. So I really like that. So and then another character in the movie, since they Mega Yun. It's lucky he come in. He's like a martial artist. He's already really good with the action movie. He's another good wire war and fight scene. So he's another good one. I think the audience watching this movie will see this real talent. And Mega Yun is got a real deal. He have the look, he have the skill, and his English is really good. It's better than me. He's funny from Japan, but he grew up in America, so his English is really good. So I can see he will needing more and more other bigger role, and I think I can see it. He already in One Piece, so I know he will next thing will be another. Maybe he'll get into the Marvel movie. Never know. But I think I see them. They all good, and then I can't wait this movie. Hopefully, it will be success and audience love it, and then we can do a sequel. Anything?
How long ago were you involved in this movie?
How long ago?
Yeah.
Since when I got this phone call about this project is when I'm doing at the same time I'm doing the Marvel Shang-Chi.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'm doing Shang-Chi that moment, it's like 2019 or 19, yeah. So 3 years ago. So they contact when then we'll do last year we did in production. So yeah, it's the same time. I remember we're doing the bus rehearsal in Sydney, and then I got the phone call from producer. So and then they say, oh, we're doing something nice of Zodiac. I say, wow, cool, because I know the content a long time ago. So I'm so happy I can have a chance to work on it. So,
thank you.
Thank you.
How much time usually does it take you to choreograph an entire film?
Oh, that's another same question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, what I'm saying. With the normally, how much choreography time to take it? It's all depends. It's all depends on different kind of fight scene, how many people involved, or action with the car. So it's all about the element and how many people and who is it, the bad guy or the good guy. So it's no one specific. Oh, I have the choreography for 1 week, or I could choreography a year. Example, some few choreographs a year. Because it depends on, sometimes it's all depend on the schedule. Sometimes they have to happening like the Hong Kong style with choreography on set. So that all different. It depends.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for